Some people say 10, some people say 20, some people say they do a lot more. In this video, we'll cover it all. This is the video you need to see to understand it and what to do for yourself. What's up guys, Fardine here from wolfphysique.com, and today we are talking about how much sets in a week should you actually do. There's so much controversy on this and on this subject. Some people say 10, some people say 20, some people say they do a lot more. In this video, we'll cover it all. This is the video you need to see to understand it and what to do for yourself. So let's get into it right away. I will not waste your time. So muscles mainly are stimulated by the exhausting effective repetitions in a set. During those repetitions, the mechanical tension is the most important training principle for muscle growth. The most important training principle for muscle growth is at its peak. So if in order to grow, a muscle needs enough reps like that. So no pussy shit. You need good effective reps. That's why you need to make sure that each set contains about 5 effective reps. This means that you should train a set with sufficient effort, so really close to muscle failure, and that you can also rest long enough between sets, around 1 to 2 minutes for an isolation exercise or 3 to 5 minutes for compound exercises. For me personally, it really depends on which exercise I'm doing, which body part. For example, I think you guys have this as well. And let me know in the comments down below if this is the case as well. For my chest and shoulders, I really need a lot of time to recover. I don't know why, but it just needs a lot more time. I literally, for the bench press, maybe 5 minutes would do me really well. I don't know why. My heart rate is slowing down, but I just need more time. For my back, for example, I can go through the exercise really quickly and maintain my strength. But next to that, you will have to do several sets per muscle group, per workout, or per week in order to create a total number of stimulating repetitions that is sufficient to stimulate a muscle to grow at all. Just keep that one in mind. Your effort has to be there. Don't train like a pussy. So we call the number of sets per muscle group the training volume. This is usually expressed on a weekly basis, but also per training. If you want to know how much sets you need, it also really depends on your diet. So how more anabolic your diet is, the higher the muscle growth potential and the better your recovery will be. So this also includes nutrient timing. And there's nutrient partitioning. So where the eaten calories go? Do they go to fat? Or do they go to muscle? I also talked about this in a video about why you should not bulk. Catchy title, I know, but you really need to watch the video. But this also includes your nutrient timing and nutrient partitioning, like I said. And next to that, also how inflammatory your diet is, whether sufficient macros or micronutrients are consumed. And also your calories, your energy balance, your energy intake. Your energy intake needs to be sufficient. You need to eat enough calories if you want to train with more volume. Energy balance is in practice the most crucial factor, to be honest, because people can tolerate more training volume when they bulk than when they cut. And one study, for example, showed that during Ramadan, fasted athletes gain strength faster if they lower their volume by 22% than when they maintain their old training volume. So this is a great example of why it is smart to reduce your training volume in some cases. But the optimal number of sets per week for you depends on genetics and your training experience. As your body gets used to certain volume over time, you'll need to increase the number of sets. So a 2010 meta-analysis by James Krieger found that if you increase the numbers of sets per exercise, muscle growth increased as well. In fact, comparing 4 or 6 sets to a single set, you'll experience around 80 to 85% more growth. And in this positive relationship between training volume and hypertrophy is that a more recent 2017 meta-analysis found a clear dose response between sets per muscle per week and muscle growth. So based on this alone, we think that the more volume, the better. But more is not necessarily better. This is because there actually seems to be a limit of sets per muscle group that you can do in a single workout before it starts to do more harm than good. More is not always better. A lot of people think more is better, but it's not true. You have to understand, if you train, you break down muscle. So let's just say this is the line, here are you. You go down when you train and you want to get here. But let's just say if you train yourself into the ground, right over here, you'll recover until here. You actually lose muscle. But this is if you're fucking stupid. But it makes sense that the more advanced you get, the higher your training volume will be. Advanced bodybuilders are more resistant to muscle damage and neuromuscular fatigue. They also have a lesser extent of an hormonal anabolic response to training volume. As a higher result, a higher training stress is necessary to further encourage training adaptation. Low training volume works well in beginners, but many studies show that a single set, even when it's up to complete failure, is performed, leads to very little or no further muscle growth in advanced. But we know that, alright? We don't need confirmation for that. In untrained people, for the most part, maximum muscle growth appears to be achieved with just 9 sets per week per muscle group. In advanced athletes, it is clear that the benefit extend far beyond these amount of sets. In the overall literature, there's a significant benefit for muscle growth up to a minimum of 10 sets per week per muscle group. A minimum. Nevertheless, studies of trained persons paint a different picture, in particular for muscle growth. Force development shows a rough trend at an effect size that goes from 0 to 2, showing that people on average, their strength increase could double if they went from low to very high training volumes. Muscle growth shows a very well-fitting graph line up to 45 sets, but that increase is really small. So basically, if you go from 5 to 15 sets, you can expect a greater increase in muscle growth than if you went from 35 sets to 45 sets, for example. So is it really worth your time? So we know, based on the 2017 meta-analysis mentioned earlier, that roughly 10 to 20 sets per muscle per week will be the sweet spot for maximizing growth, with beginners being at the lower end of this range and experienced lifters at the higher end. So it really depends on where your level is. Are you bulking? Are you cutting? And next to that, you have to understand, you have to train hard. It's not like 10 sets of half-ass. You have to train hard, and most people are not training hard. That's why that Greg Set guy always says, train harder than last time. I think some people can benefit from a lot of sets in a week. And if I say 10 sets for your legs, don't think like 10 sets your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. No, that's not what I mean. Or your calves. No, quads has 10 sets, hamstrings have 10 sets. So 10 to 20 sets will be your sweet spot. And if you liked the video, like it, subscribe. And for coaching, hit the link down below. One-on-one VIP coaching from Wolf in Physique from me. See you next time, and I love all of you. Much love.